Hello and welcome to How to Increase Your Wealth Through Taxes Legally and Ethically. My name is Michel Vavroon, CPA, tax planning expert, and award-winning author, and super excited to share this information with you today. So for those of you who are watching right now, there's a special gift for watching the whole presentation. I promise you it's not going to take long. It's really, really quick, and it's going to give you everything that you need at least to get started on this process and getting you towards saving more money on taxes. So before we get into that, I just wanted to share quickly a little bit about myself. As I mentioned, my name is Michel Valber, and I am a certified public accountant, tax strategist, and award-winning author and owner of the Valber Group, where we help individuals, business owners, reduce their tax liability, increase profits through sales through the CPA success system, which I'm going to share a little bit about. Been in the industry for over 10 years now, working in the financial services, providing audit, tax, and consulting services to small businesses and even Fortune 100 companies. And in the past year, our company has helped our clients save close to $9 million in taxes legally and ethically. And why legally and ethically is so important to me is, for me, when I grew up, I experienced this really traumatizing experience when I was 8 years old. My family and I were robbed and held at gunpoint. My father, he was incarcerated and sent off to Haiti. And really through that experience, it really taught me the importance of doing things the right way, doing things legally and ethically. Didn't make sense for me to try to make extra money and try to do all these things that I really didn't need to do in order to be able to provide for my family and really to support my clients. And I really expect the same thing for the people that I work with. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then definitely we would love to speak to you and talk a little bit further about how we can make that happen for you. And as you can see, I've been featured in all these publications and several others, but these are some of the ones I just felt like highlighting for now. And as I mentioned too, I'm also an award-winning author of the book Prolific Profit: How Successful Businesses Maximize Profits, Dominate the Market. I was recently featured on Sister Circle and was able to share a little bit about my book and also some strategies on helping people use their money, their tax money, in order to generate wealth. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about here on this presentation. And then as I mentioned too, the CPA success system, the way it works is it's a proprietary system that we've created, and this is the process that we go through with our clients to help them be able to achieve whatever it is that they want to do. So that first part is going to be C, so that's clarity, understanding exactly where you're at and taking you to where you want to go. That next piece is, once we understand what your goals are, let's say for you, it's probably going to be how to save money on taxes legally and ethically. Then we're going to give you the power, the tools, the information that you need in order to do that. And last but not least, we're going to have and give you accountability. You're going to be able to work alongside of us, right next to you, helping you implement these strategies, taking advantage of these amazing tax strategies that are out there for you, and making sure that you're doing it right, giving you the peace of mind in order to do it. Because what I found, and what you probably experience, is that a lot of people, when they go to their tax professional or their tax preparer, they just come in and they just give them the information, and they don't really give you those strategies, that information that you need to be proactive in order to save money on taxes. So that's what we do, and that's what we specialize in. And then you can see too here, it's a Venn diagram, and really the goal of it is to achieve prolific profit. And you can see how we're able to do that. If you have the clarity piece and the priority piece, you have the awareness. If you have the power and accountability, you get results. Last but not least, if you have that accountability and clarity again, then you have the growth, and then ultimately you get prolific profit that way. So what is your single largest expense? So a lot of times we don't really think about how impactful, how much money that taxes cost us. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you how. Right? When you make money, what do you pay? You pay income tax. When you buy something, what do you pay? You pay sales tax. When you purchase property, what do you pay? You pay property tax. When you sell the property for more than what you paid for, what do you pay? You pay capital gains tax. And when you die, what do you pay? You pay estate tax. So as you can see, there are several taxes that we pay as individuals, as business owners, and taxes really, really take a significant part of our finances. Literally, if you really break things down, it's about 50% of your money is going out to taxes. And if you're an astute investor or someone who's looking to really build wealth, you know that it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep. And by reducing your taxes legally and ethically, that could be a really fantastic strategy in order to be able to save more money. And one of the things I forgot to mention is really the biggest tax of all, believe it or not. And to me, and from what I've been seeing with my clients and everyone I worked with, and just really been in this industry for over a decade, is that the biggest tax of all really is the ignorance tax. Okay, and when I say ignorance tax, I don't mean that in a rude way. If you look up the word ignorance, it just means a lack of information and a lack of knowledge. And that's kind of where we come in to really bridge that gap for you, to give you that information in order to do that. And it's really costing you a lot of money. And not only financially how it's impacting you, but think about all the penalties and the risk that you're taking with not knowing how to do these things. People are literally going to jail and facing a lot of hardships because they are doing things, maybe not because they want to be malicious or evil, but because they just don't know the information. So you really want to make sure that you avoid that. You could literally lose your business if you're not aware of some of these rules. And overpayment of taxes as well is a huge consequence of having that ignorance tax. So 74,608. So I'd like to share this number because it shows you that this is how many pages are in the IRS tax code, right? And this number is really based from like a 2018 number. If you think about all the things and all the changes that they included in the tax regulation, what they continue to add, I mean, this number continues to increase. So the tax code is very, very complex, and that's why so many people struggle with understanding taxes. And even Albert Einstein, the smartest man in the world, the genius of the world, says the hardest thing to understand is income tax. And I completely agree, because it does get very complex, especially if that's not really your specialty. Really, for you as your business owner, what you want to focus on is the things that you're good at, what you specialize in, and that's what we want you to focus on. We're here to support you. We're going to do that groundwork. We're going to get the understanding that you need in order to be able to take advantage of these tax strategies. And I also want to share with you here that there's different types of tax professionals, okay? So it's kind of like a hierarchy if you look at it. So you have tax preparers. So these are going to be the people who come in and just pretty much take your numbers, put into a tax software. So your people at H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, even some of these small mom and pop shops, no disrespect to them, but you know, they don't necessarily have any. You don't need any credentials necessarily in order to be a tax preparer. If you wanted to be a tax preparer yourself, you can do it. And you know you can do it because all you have to do is go on TurboTax.com. And if you go ahead and do TurboTax.com, you are a tax preparer. And you are no different from those individuals working at those companies. So that's what a tax preparer is. A higher level of that is enrolled agents. So enrolled agents, tax attorneys, these individuals, they have more tax knowledge. They had to go through some kind of accreditation, had to take exams, had to go through a process in order to be able to achieve this level of status. On top of that, you have certified public accountants. So I'm part of this group, and I'm going to explain why I'm part of this group. The certified public accountants, these are individuals who went to school, had over 150 credit hours of education, so that's a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and had to take a 4-part exam in order to be able to get this certification, and along with continuing education credits, etc. But the highest level of tax professional out there is a tax elite, and I'll break that down and explain to you what exactly that looks like. So tax elite, they have these 5 characteristics. So the first part of it is education. So the tax elite, they are educated. Again, they went to school. They have several credit hours of schooling and education and knowledge about accounting and tax. You don't want to work with someone who just came out of school or probably is still currently in school, and they just go ahead and turn over and work at one of these big chain tax prep companies. Okay, you want to work with someone who's literally dedicated themselves in order to do this and really has pursued this as a career, and not just as a way to make extra money. The next part of that is legal authority. You want to work with someone who has, the legal authority to work with you in the event that you get audited. Now, if you get audited, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are doing anything wrong, but sometimes the IRS randomly picks companies and tax returns in order to audit, just to make sure that what they have on the tax return is accurate. So you want to make sure that you have a professional that can do that for you. So a CPA can do that, an enrolled agent, tax attorney, or someone who probably fits the tax elite category. Intangibles. You want to be very concerned about the intangibles. So one, does this individual have results? How much have they helped people? Who have they helped? What kind of industries do they specialize in? What kind of tax knowledge do they really know? You have different people who have gone different routes as far as their expertise and knowledge, and you want to make sure that they have that information for you and actually have results, that they've done things in real life, and also someone that you could relate to, someone that can explain things to you in a way that you understand in order for you to implement it. Because if you don't understand it, then there's no real point. Like, again, all the information is available, right? Most of it at least is available at the IRS.gov website, but it's not easy to understand. So you want to work with someone who could break that down to you and really save you a ton of time. Last but another part of that is training. So how much training are they doing? As a CPA, as a tax elite, there's constant training that I have to go through in order to make sure that I am complying and maintaining my CPA designation. That is a requirement. That there's something called continuing professional education credits that we have to take, and that is a requirement. I have no choice to do that. And experience, how long have they been doing this type of service? So as I mentioned, over 10 years of experience there doing this type of service. And the tax elite also, absolute must, they do tax planning, okay? And I'll explain to you why the tax elite do tax planning. And if you're not familiar, tax planning is a process that you go through. And I'll give you an example here. So you have tax preparation. So you're probably familiar with that. Tax preparation is literally you going through the process, taking your numbers that you did, and then putting into a tax software, or maybe, and giving it to a tax professional or tax preparer. What most people do is just give it to a tax preparer who may not necessarily be in the tax elite, but they know enough to take numbers, put in the computer, and then send off to the IRS. That's really a cost for you. That doesn't really add any value. It doesn't help you out. 99% of them don't really give you strategies on what you can do to save taxes, because most of them don't know, honestly. And with tax planning, that's a different type of service. Now that's really an investment with a high ROI, and I'll explain to you how that works. So tax planning, so you can see 12/31/2019, that's the end of the year. So tax preparation, that is an after year-end activity. And what I mean by that is after the year is over, you go and get your taxes done. And that's just the process of preparing your tax returns and submitting it to the IRS. That's all it literally is. Tax planning is prior to the end of the year. And the process is really going through and looking at a person's life, their business, regulatory requirements to legally reduce their taxes. And that's the key, legally reduce their taxes. There's so much in the tax code that you can do as long as you implement, as long as you do certain activities, then you can reduce how much you pay in taxes. So what we'll do together. So basically, if we decided to work together, we'll be going through a variety of different activities. So we'll be looking at deductions. How can you maximize your deductions? A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people are not taking advantage of all the deductions that are out there for them. So we want to make sure that you're doing that. We'll look at legal entity structure. What's going to be the best legal entity structure for you? We're also going to be looking at retirement. What's going to be the most optimal way for you to structure your retirement so you can maximize and generate more wealth for you and your family? Insurance, will be looking at different insurances that are available to you. Looking at legal loopholes that are in the tax code that most people don't know, because you have to, with loopholes, and the thing about legal loopholes is you have to be able to connect different pieces of the tax code and understand, okay, well, if I take this part and that part, this allows me, legally and ethically, I'm allowed to do certain things. We'll be looking at the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which is the new tax reform that happened, and also some recent regulatory changes. Things are constantly changing, especially if you look at what's going on with COVID-19. The tax code and everything is continuously being updated and changed. We'll be looking at niche-specific strategies. So if you're in a specific niche, let's say you're in trucking, maybe you're in the beauty industry, let's say you're in real estate, maybe you're in e-commerce, whatever the case is, we'll be looking at strategies specifically to your industry and your niche. And literally the power of tax planning is really, it's proactive versus reactive. So tax planning is more of that proactive approach. You are proactively looking to save money on taxes instead of reactive. When it comes tax time, you're trying to figure things out. You're trying to scramble. By the time it comes to tax time, it's pretty much too late to really make any changes, because it's based on the activity that you did in the prior year. So that is really the power of tax planning. It's an offensive line type of play there, because you are literally trying to score points. That's offense, right? When you're on offense, you're trying to get more points. And the points that you're trying to get are more points and more money into your bank account. Okay, so if you are trying to play defense, you can't really score points. You're just trying to reduce the amount of points that you lose. Okay, so that is that piece. And then it also gives you a peace of mind. Working with a professional, working with someone who literally writes out and structures everything in a way that you understand in order for you to implement. Okay, so you could try to do it yourself, but again, you're not going to, you can't feel confident doing it by yourself. Even if you're working with your tax preparer, if they're not in the tax elite category, you can forget about it. You're not going to have, you shouldn't have a peace of mind. I would be scared for you. And just to share with you a couple of stories here. So one of my clients, she's the co-founder of one of the biggest events that brings plus size women, fashionistas, bloggers, YouTubers into one space. She has several followers on social media, and we were able to work together. And she was in her 30s, and we were able to save her $26,103 in taxes for the first year and every year going forward, which is incredible. And think about it, we were able to do this without increasing her income, without her having to reduce any of her expenses, without her having to grow her business, without her reducing her lifestyle, just doing a tax plan. And let's say that she invested the savings that she had from that tax plan. So I said the annual savings for that was about $26,000. Let's say you divide that by 12, the $2,175. If she were to put that into retirement, she could have close to $4 million in retirement, which is phenomenal, right? Because her retirement age is about 25 years. She puts that into a retirement account, she can have $4 million. That's a phenomenal way to increase your wealth without even doing any work, just literally investing and going through a tax planning process. And you may be at a point in your business where you don't think you're big enough. Maybe you're new to business. Maybe you're working a day job right now. You have a 9 to 5 and maybe you're doing a business as a side gig, or you're thinking about getting into business, or maybe you probably feel like you're paying too much in taxes, or you don't want to get in trouble. One of my clients, he was in the same position, and he actually still had his day job when we did his first tax plan, and he didn't have much sales in business, honestly, just to be completely transparent with you. But he knew he was going to quit and do $250,000 in sales his first year. So I helped him out. So I helped him properly structure his business to minimize his taxes. We took into consideration various asset protection strategies. We reviewed the options for legal entity incorporation. We also made a plan for saving, investing, and growing wealth that he was going to create. So that's also part of the process too. I wholeheartedly believe in helping you increase your wealth, because that is going to be key. And that's really the goal at the end of the day. And before he quit his job, we completed the plan. And a few months later, he didn't quite hit his goal. In fact, he did about $28,000 per month, which is going to be annualized at $336,000 in sales, and closed on a commercial property. So not only did he exceed his financial goals, but he also purchased a commercial property, and he told me that he was looking to do that. So we were able to help him prepare for that, which was incredible for him. And it was a great lesson. And the lesson from that is the best time to do tax planning is before you have income. So again, you don't have to necessarily have income in order to take advantage of this. In fact, it's even better for you to have no income, because you will at least avoid overpaying a significant amount of money in taxes. And if he didn't work with us, he would have overpaid in taxes by $32,023 his first year, and probably even more than that in future years. And you might be wondering right now, okay, this is all great, but I have an accountant. I have someone I trust. I have someone that I love working with. They know all this stuff. They offer the same services. Sure, right? And you may think they're a great person. You worked with them for several years now. And I'm sure they're a great person. But when I found Sarah, she was doing over $2 million in her business, and she loved her accountant. And in fact, he was a family friend. And even though she was paying him a few $1,000s in tax prep fees, when I say thousands, she's literally paying this guy like $2,000 to do just tax prep. Okay, so she was paying him a lot of money. So you would think that there was going to be a high level of service there. But the accountant wasn't doing any tax planning. And we found out that she was actually overpaying in taxes by $60,000 sorry, 60,582 for an average about 6 years. And that's over $360 in cash that she should have had in her bank account, like today. Like, it's real tangible money that she could have had, six figures. And needless to say, she didn't like the accountant anymore. And we just hit her with a few basic strategies. So we looked at deductions for her, which saved her about 18,000. We looked at her legal entity structure. She wasn't in the most optimal legal entity structure for her at the business. She's doing $2 million in sales. She needed to evolve. She needed to change her legal entity structure to really be able to save some money on taxes. We looked at retirement for her and her family. She has 3 children and she's married and she wants to generate wealth and wants to retire early. We helped her do that and helped her save some money on taxes doing that as well, while simultaneously increasing her wealth. Looked at insurance strategies for her, ways that she can shift her income to different and lower tax brackets, and saved her that 60,000 and 302 for 5 years, for the next upcoming 5 years. And you may be wondering to yourself, okay, how does this work? And the process is pretty simple. So the first day is the initial strategy session. So you and I are going to jump on a call. I typically schedule and block off 45 minutes to go through and do a deep dive on you, your business, understand exactly where you're at. I'm going to be asking you a ton of questions, questions that you should be able to answer off the top of your head. So there's not a lot of prep that you need to do, but questions on how much income are you making? How much do you plan on making in the future years? How much, are you spending on certain expenses? Do you have children? Are you married? All those things we need to understand in order to let you know what we can save you on taxes with our proprietary tool that we use in order to get that number for you. Next, we can schedule a follow-up call if needed. So it's very optional. Most people don't need the follow-up call, but I do have that option there if that is something that you wanted to do. Then we have a kickoff call. Like, literally within the first week, we'll kick things off. Maybe sooner of that if you're available. And we'll go through everything. And then literally between 3 to 5 weeks, within a few days, you will get your tax plan delivered over to you, sent over to you, and you will be able to jump on a call and walk through everything in detail. And then we'll have a follow-up call if needed. So if you have any questions on the tax plan, things that you need to get clarified, or whatever the case is, we're available to do that for you. And last but not least, we will help you with the implementation piece, giving you the strategies and information that you need in order to actually put these things into practice for you and your business. And what you're going to get. So once we jump on the call, you may be asking what exactly is included in this thing, and that's a great question. I'm going to share with you a couple of things that are going to be included with that. So what you're going to get is a tax plan for 2020, 2021, and beyond. So that value is $15,000. The reason I say that value is $15,000 is because, as you can see, literally within the first year, I'll be able to show you how you can save maybe close to $15,000, if not $15,000, $10,000, $12,000, really depending on your business. But again, if I were to help you save $10,000 or $15,000 within the next 2 years, would it be worth it? And I think absolutely it would be worth $15,000. We'll be going over deduction review and strategy planning, so really going through different strategies so you can see the value here. And these are some deductions that we'll be looking at. Legal entity structure, optimization across LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, partnerships. We'll be going through all that and looking at all these different legal entities. We'll be looking at retirement options and a plan for you to save that $1 million extra in your retirement account without having to spend without having to take a whole bunch of money and putting it into a retirement account. Literally using your tax savings and putting that into a retirement account for you. And we'll be looking at those different retirement accounts. We'll be doing an insurance review to help you protect assets and reduce taxes for you. We'll also be looking at the new Trump taxes and showing you how you can use those things to your advantage and use it to reduce and minimize your liability, your tax liability. And we'll also be including some IRS and court cases references to support our positions to help ensure that in the event that you may feel uncertain or uncomfortable with some of these things, I am literally going to point to the exact IRS tax code that I've used in order to be able to come up with a strategy that I'm sharing with you. And the total value of this is $84,500. Okay, so if you really were to break up these pieces individually and you were to try to outsource and hire people to do this work for you, that's how much it would cost you, piece by piece. Obviously, it's not going to be that much if we work together, but that is the total value that you're getting, which is phenomenal. And I'm not sure if I shared this earlier, but I've invested over $175,000 in coaches, programs, and events, learning from the top tax experts in the country on how to do this. So again, the reason why I know this is not just because I'm a CPA or anything like that. It's because I had to invest in myself in order to do this. And that's why so many people are not doing it, and that's why so many people don't know this information. And these are some of the strategies that I learned through these programs. And in the last 12 months, as I mentioned, I helped our clients save close to $9 million in taxes legally and ethically. And you can see, if you can go on my YouTube channel, you can see all the video testimonials, people speaking, talking about their experience working with me, how much they saved in taxes, how much they loved the experience, and I have a lot more on there. And imagine this, if all I did was save you 3 times to 5 times more in taxes in the current year than what you invested, if I helped you save what you invested this year, but you kept the savings every year, help you protect your assets for you and for your family, help you set aside money for taxes quarterly so you never get surprised with the tax bill, help you properly document tax positions so you're not worried, you know, how much would that be worth for you? And for some people, that could be worth $5, $10, $20,000 if all I did was that. All right, and it's not just about the savings. And remember, this process is literally going to give you a peace of mind knowing that you're paying the least amount of money as possible on taxes. It's also going to help you file on time without any surprises. It's going to help you properly document tax positions so you're not worried. And then last but not least, help you build long-term saving strategies, which is super key and super important. And we had 2 options here. We could go as cheap as possible and try to sell as many as possible, but it wouldn't incentivize us to really stack the value and really be able to pay attention. So we're not trying to go super cheap here. The reason why that is because we want to make sure that we are giving you the attention and the due diligence that we need to do in order to be able to work with you. So we're not just handing out these tax plans. We're really getting to know you, really understanding your situation. It's not like the tax prep process where you have tax preparers doing like 100 or 200 returns, not knowing the individual situation, just literally plugging in numbers. We're not doing that. Or the option that we decided to do is make sure that there's a higher investment in order to work with us to make sure that we really help you reduce taxes rather than just prepare a return. All right. And the bonus that I promise you for watching the whole presentation is if you click on the button below, the download button, you have access to a free ebook. Okay. So this ebook is actually an excerpt from my book, Prolific Profit. And what I did was I took all the components from that book that talked about taxes and put them into an ebook, and then also included a ton more bonuses on there. It's over 40 pages. There's so much great content in there, and I think that's going to at least take you on the right path, of saving more money in taxes. So at the end of the day, the question is not if this works. The question is not if this works. But the real question that you need to ask yourself is, when are you ready to stop overpaying in taxes? Okay, so that's the main question that you need to be asking yourself. This thing absolutely works. It's completely legit, and you really need to take advantage of this. And I think so many people are not taking advantage of this because they're not sure if this actually works. But I think I've showed you that this thing does work, and if you're ready to do it, then I'm happy to speak to you and help you implement these strategies. So go ahead, let's start saving now. Looking forward to speaking with you again. Hopefully, if you have any questions, make sure those are written down, and feel free to take the time with me to be able to go through everything that you wanted to go over. But in the meantime, take care. Be sure to download that ebook, and I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Take care. Bye.